One day in the year 638, somewhere in China, a 14-year-old girl was leaving her childhood home for an imperial palace where she was to be the emperor's concubine. It was the time of the Tang dynasty, and the emperor was Taizong. His father had established the dynasty after forcefully seizing power from the last emperor of the Sui Empire. Taizong wasn't in the mood for a peaceful transfer of power either. He didn't want to wait for his turn on the throne, so he did to his father what his father had done to his predecessor. After he deposed him, Taizong feared assassination. To make himself at ease, he killed his own two brothers. As the girl was leaving, her mother wept for her, but the girl said to the mother, "How do you know that it is not my fortune to meet the Son of Heaven?" Son of Heaven being the emperor. Those words put her mother at ease, for she knew her child was not afraid. The girl was smart and educated. Her wealthy father encouraged her education, which was not common in 7th century China. She learned about politics and other governmental affairs, writing, literature, and music. Her name was Wu Zetian, and in less than 30 years, she will de facto rule her country, first through her husband, then through her sons. And in 690, she will become the first and only female emperor of China. To do so, she will have to do things others before her and others after her have done, and more, and she will be judged for them harshly by future imperial historians. One of them wrote, "She is hated by gods and men alike." Once in the palace, the 14-year-old girl became kind of a maid and a secretary and continued her education. She didn't attract much attention from the Emperor Taizong, but she did from his son, Li Ju. After his father died, Li Ju became Emperor Gaozong and kept Wu Zetian as his concubine. Two of his wives were above Wu Zetian in rank, but slowly she started becoming the emperor's favorite. She bore him 2 sons, and in 654 a daughter. After a week, the child died, and Wu accused the emperor's first wife, Wang, of murder. Some historians later wrote that Wu had killed her own child in order to get rid of the emperor's first wife. If she did do it, her plan failed because the emperor couldn't get the support from government officials to depose his first wife and replace her with Wu. Well, if you fail once, try again. Next year, Wu accused Wang of witchcraft. This time it worked. The emperor deposed both women that were above Wu and made her the empress consort. The women were placed under arrest, and Wu later ordered that they be killed, just in case the emperor changed his mind. Wu Zetian was now the most powerful woman in China, and it was just the beginning. Due to her education and intellect, she made a lot of allies in the court, and she began purging her opponents. By the time she was done, no official dared to criticize the emperor or the empress. She convinced the emperor to choose their oldest son as the heir, over his firstborn son from another wife, whom she had exiled. By 660, the Emperor Gaozong was quite sick with headaches and loss of vision, so he let Wu make more and more decisions. And she did it well, so he relied even more on her advice. She was now the real power behind the throne, not just metaphorically, but literally. She used to sit behind a pearl screen behind Emperor Gaozong at imperial meetings, listening and giving orders that she called emperor's edicts. She elevated the status and wealth of her entire family, including her sister. It was written by historians that her sister then gained sympathy from the emperor, so Wu had her poisoned. Then the emperor thought of making the sister's daughter a concubine, so Wu poisoned her too. She also targeted the children of the emperor's other concubines. In 675, her firstborn and heir apparent Li Hong dared to suggest to her that she shouldn't have so much influence on his father. He died the same year, and traditional historians generally believed that Wu had him poisoned to death. Then, her second son, Li Xian, became the crown prince, but that also didn't last long. In 680, a large amount of weaponry was found in his palace, and he was accused of treason. His father wanted to forgive him, but Wu insisted that he be deposed, exiled, and placed under house arrest. It was time for her third son, Li Jie, to become heir apparent. Emperor Gaozong died in 683, and Li Jie became the new emperor, Emperor Zhongzong. It lasted only 6 weeks. Wu retained the actual influence and authority as Empress Dowager and Regent. Empress Dowager is the title given to the mother or the widow of the emperor. However, Li Jie had a wife, and she saw how Wu ruled with her husband and thought she could do it herself. So, under her influence, the emperor went against his mother. Wu Zetian had no other choice but to depose and exile him and replace him with her youngest son, Li Dan. He became Emperor Ruzong, but he was emperor in name only, as Wu had all the power. After going through all her sons as tools for her power, in 690, all the pretense was over. Wu had Emperor Ruzong yield the throne to her, and she officially became Empress Regnant. Even though the traditional Chinese order of succession didn't allow for a woman to ascend the throne, here she was. After 30 years of being the most powerful person in China, but a woman behind the man, she was now the first female monarch in Chinese history, and she will be the last. She founded a new dynasty called Zhou, but it didn't take root. It lasted only until the end of her reign, which came in 705 when she was 81 years old. She, like many before her, was also deposed by her son, Li Ji, the one she had exiled 22 years earlier. She died on the 16th of December of the same year. One imperial historian wrote of her, "She is hated by gods and men alike." However, that seems not to have been the whole truth. Wu introduced popular measures that gained her support during her rule. She took power at a time when China was doing well, with good governance and a growing economy. Most people felt things continued to go well under Wu's leadership. She was determined to let farmers keep working on their own land, so she made sure that land allocation was conducted fairly. She also ordered the compilation of farming textbooks, construction of irrigation systems, and reduction of taxes. Confucian historians were very harsh on her because of her ruthlessness, but also because she was a woman and a usurper of the throne. They didn't just write history, they also wrote lessons for present and future rulers. Modern historians have a more favorable assessment of her rule. She is celebrated as one of China's greatest emperors because of her strong leadership and successful governance, which elevated China to become a world power. She expanded the Chinese empire beyond its previous borders into Central Asia. In China, Wu's rule had far-reaching effects. She reshaped social classes and influenced state support for Buddhism, education, and literature. She improved the imperial examination system and encouraged competent officials to govern, which led to a peaceful and well-managed state. These changes greatly improved the efficiency of China's bureaucracy by focusing on merit rather than family connections. One day in the year 638, somewhere in China, a mother wept as she was saying goodbye to her daughter, who was leaving her childhood home to be a concubine at the imperial court. Her daughter said to her, "How do you know that it is not my fortune to meet the Son of Heaven?" Those words calmed the mother's heart, for she knew her child was not afraid.